Long time no see. Hi, party people. How are you? I'm good. Decorated everything and so on and so on. How are you guys? Let's see who we have here. Oh, 150 already. Oh my goodness. Shall I just skip naming everyone? No, I don't. 99 cups of coffee. Adrian, Angie, Born to be Wild, Cindy Craftastic, Dave G, Deadman's Wife, Debbie, Heidi, Fabulous Facade, Heidi, Joe W, Jock Girl, Jodie School, Catherine, Kathy, Castine, hi from Germany, Christy Ward, Lavender Blue, Lucy, Mary, Joke, Michelle, another Michelle, Mitch, hi Mitch, long time no see. Miss Incognito, Nancy, no Finn, none your business, my girl, objection overruled. That's a good name. Penny, Private Eye, Rachel, Rebecca, Sarah, Sharon, Shelby, Shine Like a Diamond, Stephanie, True Crime Junkie, Tumbleweed. Oh my God, you guys. Welcome, everyone who I didn't name as well. How are you guys? I hope you can hear me. Um, First things first, before I start this live stream, my son is ill. He's laying on the couch next to me. So if I have to just cut off a little bit and, go away for a minute, please don't be mad at me. But he has a fever and a cold and all that. All right. So, next thing about me, passed my test with 96%, the data school, and that enabled me to go to another course. What day is today? Saturday, this week. So got home yesterday, and I'm being accepted into the school from March next year. I'm so freaking happy. I can't even tell you. It's gonna be hard work, but yeah, we're gonna rock this, don't we? So yeah, another thing I was wanting to say is has nothing to do with that subject, um, about Chris in general, but I just wanted to um, say Frankie Jr., Frankie Rusek, please. I don't know. I'm not sure if you hear this or if you watch any of my streams, but I was asked to say this: please give money back people donated under false promises, especially Wiccan Moon and YouTube Lady. They're waiting for their money. People these days, they don't have money, so they can spend it on things they are promised and not getting any results. You promised those people you were going to take AD to court. This is what they were waiting for, and you didn't do it. So please do the right thing and give the money back to people. It's just do the right thing, right? I mean, people are freezing, people are, yeah, exactly. And no, times are very hard for all of us at the moment. So, and I think you got a lot of money from all your GoFundMe's and whatnot. So please give the money back that people ask for their money back. So please be so kind, do the right thing, and just do it. All right, what are we going to do today? This week, over the course of this week, I been to a hotel, for that school, and I was re-listening to the whole almost 5 hours of Chris Watts' interview. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to go into his mind a little bit, but this is going to be an upcoming live stream as well. I learned something about the 16 personalities of people. Thank you, Michelle, but I'm actually not today. I feel like a hot mess, more a mess than hot. Anyways, so I spoke to a person at my course 2 or 3 weeks ago about different types of personalities of people, and he told me a few interesting things, but that comes later in a different live stream. What I wanted to do today, I don't want to bore you guys because we have been listening to that interview 100,000 times, but I found some things. I also took some notes I wanted to show you and go through with you. In his interview, you can actually hear, with what we know now, right? You can actually hear that investigators actually had kind of the same thought process YouTube creators have, but way earlier, obviously. And also what you can hear is Chris Watts lying his little ass off. So with the things we know now, it all will make sense in the end. And I hope that, I'm also still trying to find the right opinion and, the right thoughts, and gotta do it all in my mind and all that. But re-listening to that old stuff with what I know now, it's like, it just makes that awakening moment when you feel like, what the fuck, right? So I downloaded, thank you, Michelle. I downloaded Dawn's version of the interview, and no worries, I'm not gonna put you through the whole thing. I just have timestamps I wanted to show you. And in my opinion, it's the best audio that there is for the interview. And I did change the audio a little bit, so I took out even more the AC and all that. I hope you guys can hear. So what I'm gonna do is I stop my camera, and we're going through a little bit of the interview, not everything, just the timestamps, because there are so many things he's just doing, like his little small talk and his bullshit he just talks about, and we don't want to get into this. But significant stuff is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 21 things I wrote down, and I just wanted to show you. All right, let's get into this. Stop my face from showing and share my screen with you. And I hope this is all gonna work out. Oh, there you go. You should be able to see it now. 1 second. I have a slight delay still on StreamYard, so please forgive me if I do not see all your comments on time. All right, what we're gonna do is, first of all, I'm gonna start this interview, and then you guys gotta tell me if you have an echo or not, because if you do, then I gotta make myself, mute myself, all right? So I'm just gonna play some Hi Good Night Owl. Just gonna play a little bit, and you guys, I rely on you guys to tell me if the audio is all right, okay?
All that. So.
I'm trying to think, did you have a key last time? Okay.
They have like a little single blade razor, so I just like go past it.
If you guys have an echo, then please tell me.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How about you guys?
Good.
I did not expect it.
Sounds clear?
Surprised.
Yeah.
Well, let me put some fear
Yes,
aside.
please show me some love.
We're not here for what you might think we might be here for.
They didn't know what that's a computer.
No echo. Perfect.
Without computers.
And
then
exactly.
exactly.
So you remember, I talked to you, Tammy talked to you, Dave.
All right. I'm going to jump, they go in and say, oh, hi, and so unexpected, which I call bullshit. You cannot just, even though if you work for CBI or for FBI, you cannot just go in a prison and see the inmate. It's not possible. So if when they actually went there, they also have to announce their them coming, right? So it's not going to happen that they basically catch him by surprise or something like that. This needs to be planned, especially for security reasons. And then an existent or non-existent, whatever he had, a lawyer would have been asked if he is even willing to talk to them, right? So I believe, in my own opinion, is that this was kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say rehearsed, but I believe that he knew beforehand that they were coming. So we forward to 1 hour and 16 minutes. And then he says something interesting. That's not new. I've been trying to tell that people for forever, but I thought it's still interesting what he says about the blankets, the Yankee blanket he supposedly smothered the girls with, right? So let's listen to this.
She did have a blanket. She had a blue blanket. A Yankee blanket.
A Yankee blanket.
So was she alive when she went into the oil tank? No.
So he's saying he did it with a blanket, with a Yankee blanket. Oh, shall I go back? People are saying they couldn't hear. I do it full blast. There you go again.
She did have a blanket. She had a blue blanket. A Yankee blanket.
So was she alive when she went into the oil tank? No.
I put the blanket over her head.
And that's how she passed. Good grief.
I put the blanket over her head. I didn't want to. No. I strangled her right there in the back seat.
Okay.
What was Bella doing?
She's sitting beside her.
So first of all, he says a blue blanket, a Yankee blanket, right? We all know that Bella Cici's favorite blanket was the Yankee blanket. He further states that he got rid of everything in the dumpster on Black Mesa Road. Then Tammy jumps in saying, so were they alive when they went out there? And he's like, So I do believe that they also thought about, the data, him not connecting to his router and all these things, but they obviously knew it before we dug into this very deeply. So her questions or their questions all the time over and over again about the same topic makes me kind of suspicious that they thought, something's not right. And Coder, in a bit, he also asks, are you sure they weren't alive? Are you 100% sure? So you can see that they had their doubts too, right? Okay, so he says he has done it with the Yankee blanket. Now, let me show you this real quick. share my other screen. Here you go. So the Yankee blanket is right here. Right? That's Cece's or Bella's. I think Bella's favorite blanket was a pink blanket with white hearts or butterflies on. And this is their blanket. The Yankee blanket he strangled, he said, them with. Right? Same blanket. Coda asks him, Bella the same way? Yes, same blanket. So that was an image of the house search. So there's lie number 1. The blanket was at home. He didn't take it out to Survey, let alone strangled the girls with that blanket. All right? So I just wanted to show you this. It was in the house. High tumbleweed. Yes, exactly. All right. Gonna share my other screen again. And we keep going with the interview. Then I forward to timestamp 1 hour and 18 minutes, where you can hear a little bit of Chris Watts's mindset at that time. Forward to 118-ish. There are many things that come up. I mean, these are just small things, really, but there are many things that come up later on where you will be thinking, oh my goodness, I never heard that. Or maybe you did hear it and I just didn't hear it. Let's keep going.
It was an anger thing. It was just like,
And what were you so angry at Shanann about? Like, if you could pinpoint it.
nothing that makes anybody want to do this. I mean, you could be angry at your spouse like your whole life, but you should never have done anything like this. You should never let it get to that point. But I let it get to a point where I've never been angry before. Like, and this is like the epitome of being angry.
Yeah.
The epitome of like showing a rage, the epitome of like losing your mind. And even like some people in here said, "Dude, like, the heck happened? You must freaking snap!" Like, I was blown away. It's like, it's I don't see it in my mind how it could, like, I look outside every day. I'm like, what could we be doing right now? Right now I'd have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and more than likely a 1-month-old son, and a beautiful wife. Just like right now, it's just me.
I watched that video of you finding out that Shanann was pregnant. Don't seem excited.
So he's stating early on that he was angry. Angry at everything. Angry at Shanann. And later on they ask him why he was so angry. Tammy Lee asks him, why were you so angry at Shanann? And he clearly states, because she tried to take me away from my family. That's what he states, right? So his mindset at that time, I mean, it's not new, right? But his mindset was anger, rage, and he clearly states he could have killed anyone that morning. He states that later on. That tells me that, you don't build up anger within 2 minutes or within 6 weeks even. You build up anger for a long time. And this is what I believe happened here with Chris. He built up anger towards Shanann because he was a yes sayer all the time, right? He didn't have his own opinion, or wasn't allowed even, I must say, to have his own opinion. He had guidance all his life, and he just basically, if that makes sense, he just swallowed and swallowed and swallowed and swallowed, right? Then there came NK. She showed him a different way of life, a different way of thinking, even. And I believe that he is not innocent in this. Do I believe he had help? Absolutely. Because if you look at his life in general, he needed guidance every time. So I do believe he had help. That's my opinion. But I also do believe that he is guilty as hell. Right? All right. Let's jump to timestamp 134, or was it 123? Let's see.
Yeah.
She gets mad when she's pregnant and grabs a knife, or
No, like
scratches you or smacks you around, or nothing.
No, she's never like nothing.
Okay.
That's what,
So he's telling them that they were thinking, she could have went mad at you or nuts or whatever, and was she the type of person who grabbed a knife, or they're talking basically about domestic violence. And he said, no, she wasn't like that, and so on and so on. Well, we never know, right? She might have freaked out at some. I mean, you see that in her videos, like she's bossing him around.
So, are you 100% sure the girls were still around and alive when you drove out? Okay.
So 10 minutes later, Tammy Lee already asked him, are you sure that the girls were still alive? Are you sure you drove out there with them? And 10 minutes later, Coda asks him, so are you sure the girls were alive? Let's re-listen. I think they also had the thought of the girls not dying before Shanann came home. And Coda also states it in the interrogation, where he finally confessed to killing Shanann, that he believes that the girls were dead before Shanann came home.
Nothing else about that.
they got in the truck.
Oh, was I too?
Where did the blanket go?
Either
Oops.
probably in the truck.
Sorry.
I don't even know what they were thinking. They heard me.
I think they thought it was weird, but I don't know how you would not sound weird, like you said.
So, are you 100% sure the girls were still around and alive when you drove out? Okay. So that's completely accurate. There's nothing else about that.
They got in the truck.
Okay.
Where did the blanket go?
There she asks him again, where did the blanket go? I think they are trying to confuse him.
Either probably in the trash can or something.
In the trash.
Probably in the trash can or something, I think. No, because there was no blanket in the first place.
It wasn't like, it was still in my truck.
Okay. We thought we saw some GPS where you had stopped by near a construction roll-off dumpster. Is that true, or?
I think that's like, I dumped my clothes in there.
So that would have been on the way back to the house.
My neighborhood.
Yeah. When Officer Kunab was there. Okay. Was it one of those red construction dumpsters?
More than likely.
Okay.
Did you pack new clothes? How did that work?
I already have some in there because, like, in case we have like a spill or something.
Oh.
If you ever get crude oil on you, you don't. Yeah, I have like 2 pairs of boots, all kinds of different stuff in there, just because like just one time I had to pick up a spill and I had to.
The 2 pairs of boots, in my opinion, were for one reason, and for one reason only. He wore his old boots because when there were boot impressions or boot prints or footprints or whatever, he could have said, no, look, I'm wearing those boots. I'm not wearing this type of boots, you know? And this is also the reason why I believe that Troy McCoy wanted investigators to know so badly that he wore his old boots, even though he had new boots. He even went that far to call Melissa and this other guy, Chris's co-workers, telling them, please call in and tell them he had old work boots on and baggy clothes. Right? So for me, in my opinion, the only reason he mentions those boots were because of boot impressions or foot impressions. But that's just my opinion. Other people think differently, maybe, but I have no other explanation other than that. So let's just keep going because he's saying a lot of interesting things about he had no thoughts of his own, other people were watching, and so on and so on.
Defrost on, and I had like a headache for like 2 weeks because like the crude oil that comes. So I always have something in there.
So where did you keep them after you took them off? Like, did you just change out there into your new other clothes?
So like I dumped my clothes in that dumpster.
But that wasn't that on the way back when you were coming? Like you'd already worked the whole day,
Yeah.
right?
I'd work like till like 11 or so.
11.
So that was back when Nicole Atkinson.
Yeah, when she was
Yeah,
at,
when she
at my
called.
house, at the doorbell, that's when I knew someone was at the house.
Right.
Did you think right then, like, oh fuck, like here we go, or what were you thinking then?
I didn't even know why she was there. I was like, I didn't know, like maybe she had an appointment or something with Shanann. I didn't know.
What did you think like that day, like what you were gonna say? Like what was your plan? Were you just gonna go home and be like, report to the police that you're...
I have no clue why she was there. Maybe she had an appointment with Shanann. I don't know. Right? She wasn't supposed to be there. I think he meant NA. I don't even think that he was talking in his interview about that night. She wasn't supposed to be there. I think he felt very sorry for himself, that NA was there. Apart from that, I believe she was in the house before. Yes, 9 a.m. alert and so on. But I think he is referring to her that afternoon. She wasn't supposed to be there.
Family's gone, or
I had like once I had no idea what was gonna happen. Like after everything, I mean, I don't even know how I was even acting.
Mitch, I believe you can hear the door close when she comes home, but what you cannot hear is her putting the latch down.
Normal to people that I was around. That's when like Troy and Cody and Chad and Melissa and all them, like, you know, when they showed up on the site, I don't even know how I was even being somewhat even coherent what I was saying, but apparently they understood me. So I didn't know what was going to happen. Like I said, this wasn't like something like some Criminal Minds type.
like well thought out?
Yeah, it wasn't nothing like that.
You're just minute by minute at that point.
Yeah, it was. I had no idea what was going on.
So once the girls were gone, was it also just a minute by minute thing as far as the oil tanks?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I mean,
Now, what investigators are trying to do, was it just a minute by minute thing, about the oil tanks? They are trying to find out if he had sought out that place beforehand.
just thinking about an oil tank just makes me want to throw up.
And was that just because it was in front of you and there it was and just presented itself? It wasn't a plan beforehand? Okay. Was there any reason why the separate ones?
No, it's like you said, it was like going up the stairs, and it didn't Like what Frank said is like I was trying to separate everybody. That's not.
No.
No, I didn't want to separate anybody.
What was the reason?
I can't even tell you. It was like I said, like something else was in control of what I was doing, and it was like I was doing something I never thought I would ever do in my life.
Did you think there would be less chance of someone finding them if they were in separate tanks, or?
I don't know.
I think whoever put them in there, whether or not it was Chris, they knew that this place is in the planning of being abandoned for like 20 years. The first plan they had to abandon was 1998, I believe, or 1999, according to the documents. And they knew, all of them knew, that this place was going to be abandoned, and this is why they sought out Survey 319. Later on in the interview, you will also hear that Tammy Lee tells him, well, this wasn't your regular, well, I mean, it's not 100% her words, but she says something along those lines. Well, this wasn't your regular job to do anyway, and why Survey 319? So we all know, according to his geotab, that it wasn't his area at all to work.
Sounds like you were.
Whatever my reasoning was in my head that day, it wasn't sound. Nothing was right.
And you don't even remember thinking about it.
No, it was just like a reaction of something that I wasn't even thinking of.
Did you talk about the trash bag?
You guys, if there wasn't a plan, yeah, I do believe that the girls were gone after the birthday party. But if the girls weren't gone after the birthday party, just think like a normal person would think. Why or what was the reason I take my kids out to an oil field if that wasn't planned? What would be the reason? Let's say he killed the girls, or whoever killed the girls after Shanann, or it really happened that he put them in the truck and they were still alive, right? Do you really think he had any intention to get Shanann to the hospital? He must have, there's police driving around. He must have been in fear, like, what if they pull me over? What am I gonna tell my coworkers if I show up with my kids at work? It doesn't make any sense. So whether or not the kids were killed after the birthday party on that Sunday, just think about it for a second. How would he have hidden the kids, from his coworkers? They would have thought, hey, Chris, why are you bringing your kids out here? Right? So then you could say, if he didn't know what to do, as he mentions over and over and over again, I didn't know what to do. I was just, everything happened so quick. You don't just kill your kids in a span of 5 minutes after burying your wife and throw them in the tanks in some sort of, oh, I didn't know what to do. No, you don't do that. Therefore, I do believe that the girls were gone after the birthday party.
Do you remember that? There were two.
Okay. Yes. Trying to, because like this sheet kept, I didn't want to, like when I was putting this one coherent, I guess, thing I had, like I didn't want the girls looking at Shanann while they were in the back seat.
So what'd you do?
Put a trash bag on one end and on her feet and on her head, so they didn't have to see.
And they were just too little to kind of figure out, right?
And they didn't know.
Also, he's saying over and over and over again, I didn't know what to do, and Bella said some stuff in the back seat of the truck. But he had the nerve to call his coworkers. What if Bella would have said something while he was on the phone with his coworkers? How would he explain that away? Let's say he called Troy, he called Chad, he called Cody all the time, like several times. They didn't pick up the phone, but what if they did? And Bella would have said something, right? She would have said, what did she say? Daddy, it stinks, or anything, really. How would he have explained his coworkers, oh, I have my kids in the truck?
I just know, like, when I was driving up there, I mean,
Now he explains, like, other people watching, I had no thought of my own. And it's quite interesting.
they were just, sitting there just, kind of asleep or kind of just like, holding on to each other, laying in each other's laps. I didn't.
Do you remember having any thoughts or thinking about why not just putting them all together with Shanann?
Honestly, it was just happening so fast. I had no time to really have a thought that was my own.
I had no thought that was my own. That's interesting. And Coder over and over asks him, did you have any thoughts of why not putting them together with Shanann? Of course, he couldn't put them together with them because either one of them is, died first.
That wasn't like dutifully trying to separate anybody passing away, trying to keep anybody separate. And everything, Frank, Sandy, and Frankie said, I don't hold it against them. I mean, they can hate me they have a right to hate me for the rest of their lives.
They don't hate
They
you.
don't. In fact, while we're on the subject, I speak with them weekly, and I told.
So now he's telling him, they love you and you're still their son-in-law. I don't believe that one bit, that the Rusek family ever said that. What I do believe happened here is that they made him feel comfortable so they get the answers out they needed. But I don't believe that the Ruseks actually said, oh, we love you still, even though you did this. And no way. No way in hell. No way. Okay, I'm gonna go further to 43. And then I'm gonna show you something about the plea agreement.
And they say, hey, like, what happened? Okay, we'll go with that story. Like, I told them everything I just told you guys.
So he's telling investigators or the CBI, my attorneys would have went with everything I told them. They would have went with the story that Shanann killed the girls, right? And it's quite interesting what he says next. Listen.
And it's just like, they got together, like, well, if they ever offered a plea deal, would you ever want to, like, just plead guilty to? I'm like, yeah, I mean, if we can end this, end it. Like, I was like in September, I told them that.
Really?
Yeah, but it was way too early, and prosecution was still doing their investigation, still grabbing.
So the prosecution was still doing their investigation, and he offered, he told them, I'm taking the plea deal to end all this. And that was at the end of September. So now I'm gonna share my other screen, because this is a lie too. And I don't know why he even says that, because look at this. Hang on, where is it? So if Chris tells his defense attorneys at the end of September, they approach him and ask him, if they ever offer you a plea deal, would you take it? And he says yes to end all this. And that was like at the end of September. And Tammy Lee goes, really? Well, it wasn't at the end of September. So what kind of game did they play? Was there enough evidence, or wasn't there enough evidence? Or did the defense attorney make some kind of background deal? Or did they see, you know what, he has no chance? Now, look at this. We all saw that before. Now, where is it? Here it is. Right? So this is the email that came from Chris's defense attorneys to Mr. Wren. The defendant, Christopher Watts, is willing to agree to waive his right to be indicted and to plead guilty to all charges. Now, you guys, look at the date. August the 26th. Right? So why would his defense attorneys offer the prosecution a deal that he would take in exchange of taking off the death penalty? Why? When they approached him a month later, asking him if there was ever a plea agreement, if he would take it. That makes no sense to me. Right? So what was going on between them? And this is a screenshot from Netflix. Actually, you can look at this. They show some more emails and images and stuff like that. And there, even Wren says, well, his defense attorneys approached us. But also, on the other hand, Chris is saying he told his attorneys the full truth. Right? So what was going on? Them offering a plea to the DA before they even spoke to Chris about it. Makes no sense, in my opinion. Absolutely no sense. What do you guys think? What, that's interesting. I believe he was moving, sorry. I believe he was moving out that morning, as in not returning, because he told like Apple if his truck was not parked on Saratoga Trail, it's because he's staying at a friend's house because they were separating. You mean moving out of the house, like of Saratoga? Rachel? Never heard that before. Oh, my son just woke up. Lay down. Moving out of Saratoga. I don't know. Where would he have moved to NK? Get further into, yeah.
And evidence and all kinds of stuff, and that wasn't even really on the table. So I think it was like around Halloween. I think that's when the prosecution went to Frank and Frankie's house. And it's talking like, if we can end this, would you be open to that? And that's when, like, you know, like the whole death penalty and everything, all that conversation happened. And I guess they were surprised that it would just be over.
Yeah.
And
We were all in shock, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it was like,
It's like we were going 100 miles an hour and then we just hit a brick wall. Like that's what it felt like to all of us. So, I mean, obviously you had more time to
yeah, I mean,
contemplate it than
yeah,
us.
I told John and Kate and Sophia and everybody, Amy, hey, if we can just stop this, and like, I know it's everybody's telling me to fight this, there's no like, there's like, everybody's saying there's like not enough evidence to such this and that. And I'm just like, no, this needs to end. Like, I don't want people to have to, because for Frank and everybody to have to fly back to Colorado every single time and get reminded of this, like, I'm not sure that it's never going to go away, but to actually have to come and talk about it, have other people talk about it, have, all three of you get on the witness stand and say, what they saw, what they've seen, what they heard on tapes and everything like that. It's just like, I don't want people to live that over.
No, I don't believe that. I believe he took that when he starts saying, I didn't want other people, you guys and the Rusek family, to fly back to Colorado. He just slipped up a little bit. And that's what I believe, that he took the plea because he was fucked in the first place.
Over and over again for years. Like, if I could just end this for everybody, and then like, if there's any closure at all, they could start then instead of like 2022. But, everything is like, I know it'd only get worse for everybody.
So did it have anything to do with you not having the death penalty?
No, like, honestly, like, when I was sitting in that cell, I felt like I was listening to everybody telling me like, hey, if you do this and this, you can hang yourself in that cell. You could do this and that.
They were like telling you stuff.
Yeah, you could drown yourself in the toilet if you wanted to fill your toilet bowl up or something like that. It was, they've been there a bunch of times. And like, I was, at one point I was listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I just felt like maybe there's a different purpose for me somewhere. Maybe it's here. I don't know. Like, I prayed to God every day that he would move me away from Colorado, like move me away from like the DOC there, because I just knew, like, they were saying there was a hit on me.
And that's his main concern, you guys. His main concern is that he stays safe. Like he said, oh, there were people planning a hit on me, right? So his main concern is not to get out of his prison he's in at the moment.
I said if I was going to a DOC in Colorado, like, I'd last a week and I'd be dead. Because of like the gangs and all that kind of stuff. And so like, I just felt like God moved me here for a reason. And hopefully I can help people that way. But like, I didn't want my family, I didn't want Shannann's family, all of our friends, like, having to go through that. Because after a while, I knew it was like, this stuff was everywhere. And I knew like all her Thrive friends, everybody, that was just like, it would just broke that hole in their heart was a little bit bigger every time. I didn't want that. I knew it would have gotten worse. I didn't want it to get any worse than it already was.
Did you ever think about, well, it could be very believable what I told him. It could be very believable that Shanann did, end the girls. So maybe if I tried to convince people that, maybe if I fought with my attorneys on that, maybe I could lessen it somehow. Did you ever think about that?
Honestly, I never even thought about the story until you guys mentioned it.
Yeah. Okay.
I wondered.
I never even thought about it until you guys mentioned it.
So what did you think about it once it got mentioned?
It's just like, I just went with it. I didn't like, I knew my dad was out there. I knew it was like, I knew they would probably believe it because, my mom and my sister just never really liked Shanann. And I knew like, through all this, like, I got letters from some of my friends that even said, when we went over to your house, we could see, Shanann was more of a dominant personality and more of like, you're always helping with the kids and everything. You just, you're a great dad. That's
true. She was a dominant personality, but that doesn't mean she killed her girls, right? I think some people still think that she did, but I don't think there's any evidence to support that.
And everything we could see, a couple things that I never saw or whatnot. And even my best friend Mark can say, there's always something I didn't really get with Shanann. I was like, nobody ever told me any of this stuff, but okay. But yeah, I never thought about that story, and that's what my attorneys were going with.
Yeah.
And then I think it was probably the second week I told them what had really happened.
What'd they say after that?
They were quiet. They were writing it down. They said they wouldn't judge me, so I told them. I told them everything that happened, and they, appreciated. I guess most of the time, their defendant or their defendants don't tell them actually what happened.
No. Yeah.
They just tell them, all right, get me out of here. This is what happened. But I told them what happened. I didn't want them going. If this was going to go anywhere in the courts, I didn't want them.
So he told his attorneys the truth, according to his own words. And I don't know if that was before or after they offered the plea agreement to the prosecution. I'm thinking, and I'm just assuming, that was after he told them the whole truth. Like that, maybe he also told them, there are other people involved and I don't want them to be prosecuted or whatever. I take everything on myself, and that's why his attorneys came out with that plea agreement very quick.
To be under a false pretense and get surprised. So I know there was probably things that you guys probably knew that maybe if I lied to them and just told them, no, this is what happened, that it would have made them look foolish and stupid and just unprepared, and I'm just this is what happened, and they appreciated me telling them that, so now they would be prepared, and that's when they were saying if it was ever if we ever went to them, the prosecution, and say if we could end this, would I be open to it? I'm if it could end it.
I know there was wasn't her phone found on the couch or between the couch cushions? Did you plant all that
I
stuff?
just threw it in there.
You just threw it in there?
I
Why did you do that?
I don't know what was going on that morning. Even her watch, her phone, that was actually if I'd planned this, I would probably just take it out to the field or something, But,
What about her ring and stuff?
See, he's making, if I had planned this, I would have probably just taken it out the field. No, I don't think so, because I think he thought that he will be having more time when he gets home. But that's just my opinion. All right, let's forward a little bit to timestamp 205. And I'm going to tell you something about, hang on. Was there anything else I wanted to show you? I have a few more images here. No, that comes later. Okay. About NK especially, what I heard before but never really thought about it or didn't know what to think about it is when he says in their last phone call that was taking place Monday night or Tuesday night, she was asking him weird questions like, what's the name of my dog? Or what's the name of your dog? And I believe you guys heard that already. But then if you think about it, after that, the last conversation they had together, she called the FBI, right? So what if she was just feeling him out a little bit if he would snitch on her? And the best thing she could have come up with is calling the FBI first after she, kind of tried to find out if he had snitched on her yet. So, better she does it first than him, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. But listen to this. It does make kind of sense.
And then maybe a phone call, and then she thought maybe Shanann took off with the kids.
No, I do still believe there was something out there at the containers. Absolutely.
Like just, because I was telling her I didn't know where they were and all that. And the 14th,
So he's talking about, he's telling NK, well, I told her I don't know where they were and stuff like that,
kind of like, I think she kind of thought something may have happened because they hadn't come back.
Why do you say that she might have thought that?
Or, she kept asking me like some weird questions. Like she kept asking like,
Okay, he's saying she might have thought something happened and they are not gonna come back. But if you think, something happened and your boyfriend or husband or does something like that, and you think, well, he killed his family, right? Would you ask, what name is my dog? No. You would ask, listen, tell me what happened, and I have the feeling you're involved in this, and don't lie to me and stuff like that, right? You wouldn't say what, you only say, what's the name of my dog, to, feel this guy out because you have stuff to hide. Because her mindset, I believe, and I'm assuming, was set to, oh, maybe police is sitting next to him and he's just asking me all these weird questions to incriminate me into this. And then they will find out that I had a part in this or that I had knowledge of this, right? And that was her main concern.
questions that only I would know, but she was testing to see if like it was actually me on the phone. Like,
What do you mean?
like she would ask like, like what's my dog's name, or like what do I like, what yoga studio do I go to, or something like that. I'm just like, like I'm just answer like I'm, and then like another thing about, I'm not sure if this is you. I'm just like, okay.
Is this through text or is this through calls?
Text.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't hearing your voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible she thought you'd been arrested and we were on the phone?
Either Shanann.
There you go. Coda just said it. Did she think that you were arrested and we were on the phone?
Had my phone or somebody else had my phone, or like maybe maybe she thought it was.
Well, hopefully Shanann would know all the answers to those questions, right?
No, this is Nikki asking me.
Yeah, but if she's asking you your name of your dog and what yoga studio and
Yeah.
like, wouldn't
Well,
Shanann know that?
maybe she thought, maybe I was with Shanann, she was just trying to find out who she was.
Mm.
Yeah, like some of the conversation, like on the 14th, got a little weird. I think that's when she met with CBI or something, or FBI. I'm not sure who she met with first.
So she talked to you after she met with?
No.
Oh, she
That
did.
was like, she had told me like, this is the last time you'll probably hear from me. I'm going to stay at my friend Jim's place.
Of course, this is gonna be probably the last time you hear from me, because she was scared shitless. Why else would she say, oh, what's the name of my dog? And is it really you? And, on the phone with him. Makes absolutely no sense. So this woman was scared that he already snitched on her and that the police was sitting next to him and he had cables all over his body. And they were listening in to the phone calls. This is what she thought. So she's asking, what's the name of my dog? Bullshit questions to, throw him off a little bit.
All this is all going on. Should not contact her until this is done. Still meaning to delete everything. I didn't delete everything.
So then she told me to delete everything. Why? Why would she tell him to delete everything after that phone call? This is probably the last time you're going to hear from me. If people who have nothing to hide, hide nothing. So why would you delete anything? That they had a relationship that came to light anyway. And, they knew that would come to light. That they had a relationship or an affair. So why delete everything? It's all said and done already anyway. So what was the incriminating messages? And one other thing I heard in his interview, but I was too dumb to write down the timestamp. Tammy Lee asks him, how did you guys communicate in the start? And did Shanann go through your phone? And he says, Shanann went through my phone all the time. And Tammy, maybe we find it on the way, but I think I forgot to put down the timestamp, but I will find it. And Tammy Lee asks him, so how did you guys communicate? And he said, through my work phone. So I checked, the digital discovery does contain his work phone records. And there were no messages. So how they communicated was simple. Either they communicated through the secret calculator app, or they communicated through GroupMe he used. GroupMe, I was told, works the same as back then Snapchat worked. So messages or images you send back and forth will disappear after some time. And that's why it's cloud-based messenger service, so it wouldn't show up on your phone bill. Because I checked and he had one outgoing message in July and none in August from his work phone. So that's the only way they could have communicated, through that GroupMe app or any other hidden messenger. And it was also not NK who said, there is a secret calculator. He also says that in his interview. He looked it up, how to hide messages. And then he came across the secret calculator app. So it wasn't actually NK telling him, you know what, there's an app, you got to try it out and we can hide messages. No, it was him.
Okay. I'm not sure why I didn't delete anything, but probably helped you guys out a little bit. But
She told you to.
Here he says, I don't know why I didn't delete anything. Probably to help you guys out. So if that were innocent messages about sexual stuff and whatever they texted, how was that of use for law enforcement? They couldn't have used anything of that other than to prove there was an affair going on or a relationship between them. But related to the case, it's not important. So why did he say, I didn't delete anything? I did not delete everything, probably to help you guys out. So he basically wanted them to see those messages, right? And they probably have.
To delete everything?
delete all conversations.
Did she tell you why?
She just said delete it. Which I don't think you can ever delete a text message.
We're pretty good at getting deleted text messages.
No, you're not. You're not pretty good at getting deleted text messages, because if you were, you would have it. And NK would be in prison.
When your dad came in, one of the first things you guys talked about, he said, kind of quietly, I cheated on her, I cheated on Shanann or something. Your dad didn't know until that time?
No, when I was in North Carolina on August 6th, when I spent most of the day with my parents and my sister and everybody, I told them something this.
Okay, now he's talking about his parents. They did not know anything. Obviously, of course, they didn't know anything. Thank you, Bilby. Sending much love to you and your team, TJ. I'm more invested in Delphi now, but came to show support for you guys. That's so nice. Thank you so, so much. Yeah, I'm following the Delphi case on the side as well. And I wanted to get into this very, very deep, but I'm so not having any time at the moment, and I'm glad I came on live today, and I did make it to come see you guys today. But I'm so invested in private stuff and in that school. But yeah, I promise this will getting better with me, and I'm going live more often. Speaking of the Delphi case, I just wanted to say, I did not follow the last few days, but there was a bullet found, right? An unspent chasing or something. So I was always under the impression that the girls died of stab wounds, not of gunshot wounds. So the the evidence they have, I mean, I don't know what other evidence they have on Richard Allen, but if they only have that unspent bullet, that's very, very slim. Like, it was his area. He was a hunter. He didn't get rid of any weapons. He didn't get rid of any bullets. He didn't get rid of anything. So for them, finding a bullet out there is not necessarily on what is it? Not necessarily important to me. I mean, we don't know the cause of death of the two little girls, but that kind of like was weird to me. Like, who cares? I mean, if they dug deep enough, they would have find probably more bullets than that. I'm not saying he is innocent or anything, right? I do think that, he has some knowledge, and, say, I throw myself at the mercy of the court. Them and an innocent person does not say that. But yeah, that's really weird. The bullet has gone through the gun. Okay. But we don't know how they died, really. That was never made public. And I was always under the impression, I mean, if they were shot, okay. I do believe that, it has that bullet they found has something to do with the case. But I was always under the impression, good night, Sandra, that they were stabbed. But I cannot say for sure. That's really weird. That's just a side note. All right. So she is asking him weird questions, and he wanted to help law enforcement out by not deleting those text messages. All right, we all got that. And if that doesn't sound guilty, then I don't know what does. All right. Then I get to 322. And I want to show you guys, because people still think, maybe the girls died later. Maybe the girls didn't die at his hands. And I only recently came across that. I was searching for it in his interview and I couldn't find it, but that's always like that. If you're looking for something, you can't find it. Anyways, one thing that makes me feel like that he knew exactly what was going on and he knew exactly what was going to happen is one statement he makes. That gives me the impression that he saw at least one of the girls, if not both, dead. Right? Now let's listen to this. He's talking about Bella's injuries.
I just know she had a couple spots like over her eye or something.
I go a little bit back.
How did she sound when she asked you that, Chris?
So that soft voice she always had.
What exactly did she say?
She said that it's the same thing that happened to me in CC. And then I said, I don't even remember what I said. I don't know if I just said yes, like a horrible person, or if I just put that blanket over her too and did the same thing.
Same blanket, same way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, not same blanket, same way, because we just found it at home.
She said, no, Daddy. That's the last thing she said.
Did she say no, Daddy, like, please, no, Daddy type thing? Did she say saying, don't do it?
She said, no, Daddy.
Okay. Same way, hand on neck, hand over mouth, or hand over blanket, which is over mouth. Did that take a couple minutes?
I like it.
Okay.
Now listen very carefully.
She had a couple spots like over her eye or something, and picked her up. Same thing.
She had a couple of spots over her eye or something. I just picked her up. Okay? I'm going to show you something. She had a couple of spots over her eye. Oops, wrong button. Hold on, one sec. And it always hurts when I pull this up. Honestly, it does. Window. So, this is the autopsy report. He's saying she had a couple of spots over her eye. Look what the medical examiner noted. Splatchy chemical burns. Here. Over her eye. Couple of spots over her eye. He does not note this in the written report, but he does note it on the drawing of Bella. And this is, I cut that off when I did the screenshot, but you can, it's Bella. Date of birth is this 17th of December. That's her birthday. Pink PJs with butterflies and underwear. Just for the Karens out there who are saying, no, that wasn't hers, right? So he definitely knew about Bella's chemical burns. And every one of us experience some sort of when it's like that carpet burn when you get like sliding along your carpet. And if you have a wound like this and you even put water onto it, it burns like hell, right? So this is something. Bye, Kay, good night. Every one of us has experienced at least once in their life, right? So yeah, that was what I was just wanting to show you, that he knew about the couple of spots, as he calls it, above her eye. So I have no doubt whatsoever that he saw the girls dead. No doubt. So I just wanted to show you this. Right. And we get we go further with the interview. Not long now, you guys. There you go. I'm gonna read a couple. Oh, I'm very, very sure he will be coming up and telling you guys about his theory on what happened pretty soon. Pretty soon. All right. So I'm gonna go back so you guys can, what was it, 22? You guys can hear that again. You just saw the image.
I don't even remember what I said. I don't know if I just said yes, like a horrible person, or if I just put that blanket over her too and did the same thing.
Same blanket, same way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She said, no, Daddy. That's the last thing she said.
Did she say no, daddy, like, please, no, daddy type thing? Did she say saying, don't do it?
She said, no, Daddy.
Okay. Same way, hand on neck, hand over mouth, or hand over blanket, which is over mouth. Did that take a couple minutes?
I like it.
Okay. Then what?
I just know she had a couple spots like over her eye or something, and I picked her up. Same thing.
So she had a couple of spots over her eye. Then I picked her up and did the same thing. Now, before that little excerpt of what he just said about Bella, Coda asks him, were her eyes bloodshot? Speaking of Shanann. And he says, no, they weren't. Like from joking, you get bloodshot eyes. Petechia, what it's called. And Chris says, no, she didn't have that. No bloodshot eyes, right? Now I'm just gonna let it run through to timestamp 324 for the lurkers out there who want to steal my content and make little videos about it. Go ahead. Timestamp 324. He tells a different story.
And we talked a little bit earlier today about it. You don't remember why a different tank? Okay. And there was no reason.
They're both the same tanks. They're just like, I don't know why I did two things.
Okay. There's one, I never got up there. Does one catwalk lead to both?
Oil can go into either tank.
Okay. But if you go up one set of ladders, does that eventually indicate to both?
It's one catwalk.
Okay. Now Bella was a little bit bigger. Was she harder to get in?
It felt like it a little bit.
Okay. And so was it a matter of just kind of maneuvering her? So then they're both in there. Is there any reason to think they were alive when they fell in? Okay, you're pretty sure. Okay.
So did you notice they're asking him the same questions over and over and over again? Why the separate tanks, right? Why did you put them not together? Why were they buried or dumped in different places? Are you sure? All over and over and over again.
So once that's done, then what?
Go over to Shanann, clear away some weeds and dig a hole.
Okay. Did you have a shovel?
Yeah, we have a shovel, a rake, and a weed whacker as part
We had a shovel.
of our tools.
With that rake, if I remember right, it was
Part of it was sitting there because it was broken.
Oh, did it break as you were digging or something?
Now when I was like smoothing the ground over.
On this day, it broke when you were doing that? Okay. Was that after you were all done? And it seems as though maybe the first people that got there saw it. Was it stuck in the ground?
I guess it was like, not like standing up, but it was like laying down.
Oh, okay. Were you planning on coming back?
I don't know. I don't think so.
At this point then, this is just before then, in a couple of hours, you would make it back home to see Officer Conrad. Okay. And so once she's buried, then.
Haley, I don't think that Chris Watts has the power to seal anything. This is a court-ordered thing that for whatever reason they sealed it, but I don't think that Chris had any say in this. And we also, back then, we asked Ronnie, and he forwarded that question to Chris, and Chris said he didn't seal anything. Like, they never asked him to seal any medical records. So he had no knowledge of any records being sealed at all.
That's when people start showing up, I believe.
Did you notice, was she cut or broken or bleeding in any way?
No, I know like the bloodshot eyes you were talking about. I noticed that at that point.
The bloodshot eyes you were talking about, that was that at that point. All right. I'm going to show you. No, I'm sorry. I got to change my screen again. So he's saying the bloodshot eyes he previously told them she didn't have, all of a sudden appeared, right? So if you have bloodshot eyes and you die, the blood does not go away. It stays. It's not like it disappears and you have normal eyes or whatever after death again. No, it stays the way. So either she did have it or she didn't have it, right? Previously, he says, no, she didn't have any bloodshot eyes because Coda asks him. Now Kodo says, anything else? Oh, now the bloodshot eyes appeared all of a sudden. No, this is not how it works. And I show you. Just gotta change my friggin' screen again. First, I gotta pull this up. I didn't want to show a picture of a deceased person with petechia, it's called, so bloodshot eyes after being strangled. So, but you guys can just put in Google, bloodshot eyes or petechia after death or post-mortem, and several pictures will come up. What the medical examiner, hold on, I better share my screen before I start blabbing. Here it is. So, the medical examiner is talking about her eyes, right? When they did the autopsy. So it says here in big letters, eyes. The eyes are moderately opacified. That's a post-mortem artifact. The medical examiner does not state anything about petechia or bloodshot eyes. There is no petechia here. No, where is it? No discernible scleral or conjunctival petechia. So Shanann did not have bloodshot eyes. Why the hell he would say that? I have no clue. No clue. Maybe he didn't see her getting buried. Right? Maybe there were more people there that morning. Why would he say that? First of all, he says no, and then it suddenly appears? No. Another explanation I have, and that's a bit, I would say, gruesome explanation, but what if she died out there? And she didn't have, because no, she didn't have any bloodshot eyes. And then she died and then she had it. It appeared. I don't know. The medical examiner definitely states there was no petechia or whatever it's spelled, bloodshot eyes. So he's lying his ass off, obviously. Okay, so thank you, Catherine. Back to the interview.
Other than that, no.
Had she partially given birth? No. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember she had a shirt and think blue underwear on.
Okay, and so at that point,
the reason I'm on the edge with thinking, he saw her, he might not have seen her, is why would you remove? He says that he put trash bags over her head and feet so the girls wouldn't have to see it on the back seat. Why would he remove that? Why? There's no explanation or no reason for him to either remove the sheet or remove the trash bags. No reason.
thank you. I know that wasn't.
Can you tell us about
Now this is getting interesting as well. Can I move forward a little bit? He's talking about NA, and they ask him if he had calls or was on the phone with her prior.
Do you remember getting phone calls from Nicole Atkinson?
after, I think before she got to my house or after.
Just any time during that morning.
I think I didn't get one until I saw her on my doorbell camera.
That was what, 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I was right around there.
Okay. And so at that time, had everything been done out at 3319?
Yeah, I was at a different site with,
Did you catch that? That was around 10 o'clock. She wasn't even there at 10 o'clock. How could she have called him? And the other agent saying, yeah, that was around 10 o'clock. Why would they want to know? Did you receive any phone calls that morning from Nicole Atkinson? And he's like, before or after I got home? Around 10 o'clock. No, I just saw her on my doorbell camera. So this is giving, she wasn't even there at 10 o'clock.
at a pumping unit.
So you went from there when it was all done. So girls are in the oil, Shanann's in the ground.
Exactly, no. She called early for a health check, 9 a.m. And at 9:10 a.m., he's getting that alert.
And maybe a little bit of cleanup. Was there any questions we had about the sheets or any garbage cans or garbage sacks?
No, I think you
Okay.
answered those already.
All right. So then you went from that site to another.
And now this is getting interesting also in a minute. What he says about why he went out survey 319. And then he basically tells us everything I said in my previous live streams about that fire stick meeting. And he's telling interesting things about how he even got his attention to survey 319. Now listen to this.
Another site to work.
Yeah, because there was at that survey 319, there was a little spill. That's where everybody showed up there because that spill that was there. We're trying to figure out what happened.
Oh,
While you're on that subject, back up. The night before, you had some text messaging about going out there. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was, I think, Friday that we had figured out there was a spill out there from like his old site. It's set up a little different.
Please, guys, listen carefully. He says, we figured out there was a spill out there on Friday. No, you didn't. Let's go back a little bit in case you didn't catch it. And listen carefully to what he says, because he's putting himself in deep shit right there.
and you went from that site to another site to work.
Yeah, because at that survey 319, there was a little spill. That's where everybody showed up there because that spill that was there. We're trying to figure out what happened.
Oh,
While you're on that subject, back up. The night before, you had some text messaging about going out there. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was, I think, Friday that we had figured out there was a spill out there from like his old site. It's set up a little different. So what had happened was there was a downcomer and then there's a side comer going into those oil tanks. And one of the downcomers is tied into a back pressure line that split. And every time it was dumping oil, it was split underground and the oil was coming up out of the ground. And we decided just to go out there on Monday because it was Friday and he had like switched it out, or either he shut it in or switched lines, or he covered it up and see if it was going to come back or not.
Okay. And then it's more specifically, you text about how you would go out there and take
Yeah, I was
care
going
of
to
it.
take care of it for him because I've gone out there plenty of times.
Okay.
I used, when another guy was out there, as far as another foreman, he showed me around out there like a year or so ago. And
There was another foreman. He showed me around there a year ago or so. Then he's stating, we decided he wasn't even there on Friday, I thought. Right? Because according to them, or according to Troy McCoy's interview, they were meeting up for that fire stick, which I believe is a completely fabricated story. What I believe happened is they met out there probably at the Safeway parking lot and then drove to Survey. This is what I believe happened. Anyways, he's stating, and Troy McCoy also is stating in his interview that he got a phone call of Cody on Friday. Chris was standing next to him, and Chris was talking, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go out there, Cody, no problem, blah, blah, blah," right? So Cody didn't even know anything about Chris being there. He texts him, Chris texts Cody on Sunday telling him, "You know what, I'm gonna go out there. First thing, I'm going to the 629, 1029 and whatnot, and I'm gonna check out the 319 for you." Right? So, and Cody totally reacts different than someone who would have known anything about it beforehand, right? So the first time Cody ever learned about Chris' plans to go out there was when he texted him on Sunday. As we heard in Troy McCoy's interview, he said, "Oh, Chris was standing right next to me and Cody called me about the leak and Chris offered to go out there." No, he didn't. Cody did not even know he was standing next to Troy McCoy. He didn't know that. He learned about Chris going out there on Sunday. Right? So then he says a foreman showed him around a year ago on Survey 319. Keep in mind, that wasn't his usual workplace.
I just got familiar with the place and I just went up and out.
And so that was a genuine,
Yeah,
that wasn't
yeah.
a pre-alibi, that
Because
was.
there's a lot of people that said that you wouldn't normally do that.
See, Tammy Lee is saying there's a lot of people who say you wouldn't normally do that.
Normally help somebody?
No, like a field to your position, not you specifically, but your position doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like when I was a rover and to a field coordinator, I still tried to do everything I used to do.
Okay.
That's still like, I wasn't good at delegating stuff. I just used to just do stuff on my own or just like taking care of it for somebody else.
Right.
I wasn't good at the whole like, hey, you go do this, you go do that, or I sit over here.
You see what it looks like to
I
us,
know.
you know,
It's like,
when it came up, we're
I know.
like making plans to be out there, you know, that day.
But that's not what it was, that was
I was
natural.
no.
So they, you know, they also think, "Oh, you didn't not make any plans to go out there," you know, being funny, laughing about it. And he's like, no.
I was gonna help them.
So how long were you there? What time do you think you were done with the girls?
I don't really tell. I mean, I think everybody started showing up there by around 7:45, 8 o'clock.
Okay. And then you were there, did you say you went to a different site?
Yeah, it's like I think it was either the 1029 or the 629 or something like that.
And so how long were you at that site?
The rest of the day until I got called away.
So then that was, you were there for at least a couple hours until you heard Nicole Atkinson on the doorbell.
Yeah.
And then I think there was even more time after that until you started coming home.
Yep.
And you got home at 2 something?
No, it's closer to 1:30
Okay.
around there.
No, it wasn't closer to 1:30. It was 2:07.
So somewhere around, 9 o'clock-ish, all the way till 12:30 or 12 or 1 or something, and then came home.
Yep.
Okay. There was a lot to do about coming home and listening to that Metallica song. Have you heard about that?
I've heard of a Metallica song that people have been, some of the same lyrics to Help Battery.
Do you remember doing that?
That was Nikki Kessinger. She liked the song, or she just wanted to know what it meant.
Oh,
So that's
why you looked it up.
I just kind of looked at I didn't have the CD with me, so I didn't, I just kind of looked at the words.
And was that on the way home? Oh, that was just a different time.
That was the time.
Okay, and so the media probably got a hold of
Coincidence
that.
because it says battery.
Right. Okay.
But it's like, it's more about like a family coinciding as a battery.
Okay.
Not like, hitting somebody.
Why did Nikki want to know what it meant? How did that come
I
up?
don't know. It was kind of strange. I mean, she's very into different types of music, And I mean, music I never really thought I'd ever listen to. And like, she got me into a few things there as far as music was, but like, Battery was.
See, they ask him about the song Battery, but why don't they ask him why did she want proof of you that you were on site that morning? Right? Why didn't they ask that? It's way more important. And Kobach even asks her, you know, oh, you wanted proof. Oh, I wanted to know if he was at work. So what the heck?
It was something that she asked me because I knew Metallica pretty well. She just wanted to know, like, hey, what's this lyrics mean? And I just looked it up just to look at all the words together and just put it in my head again, and that was it.
I think that song empowered him of some sort, because it's like, you know, me or you guys, if you hear a song, it's uplifting, or if you sad, you listen to different songs, you know, and if you know your adrenaline is pumping, you listen to other different songs, right? If that makes sense. So I think that he was very, 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 very nervous, and that he listened to that song because it gave him some sort of mind power. And NK probably knew that. So that's why she reminded him that morning to listen or look up the Battery lyrics.
Just made something out of nothing. That's why I was strange. I got those lyrics in a letter.
Oh, so now does that make sense?
You know, yeah, some specific lyrics to it.
Yeah.
I think that guy from California.
The one that
Oh,
was
the
18
kid?
at one point.
The senior?
With regards to then when you get home, you and the officers, you know, saw what they saw. You mentioned that you took the ring off her finger. And then the book, did you throw that in the trash? Okay. There was another book, Body of Evidence. That's something.
Now they're talking about the book he read in county jail. We don't need to hear about that. I looked that book up. It's nothing special or anything like he, you know, that he took something out of the book and told investigators. So I'm going to forward to 338. And this is where he is talking about why he had no clue, why he left everything out there, like the toys, the sheet, and
Questions because it doesn't make sense to me.
But I guess, I mean, like, you could have done it before you guys left
I don't.
and not had him, you know, alive in the backseat. They could have been with Shanann
I
in the
didn't
backseat.
think about anything really, like as far as like how everything was gonna happen. I don't know like why it happened. Like, why I left everything out there in the field and why like all this stuff. Like none of this makes sense at all.
But to Tammy's point, did you think that they might be coming back, or did you know they wouldn't be coming back?
did you catch that, guys? Do you think they might come back, or do you think? Did you know they wouldn't be coming back? What Coda is referring to, which what I believe is that they still don't believe him. They still don't believe that it went down the way he said it went down. Re-listen to this. It's really weird. So if he knew already his girls were dead, or if he killed everyone and had no help, why would Coda ask him, did you think the girls were coming back? Which is absolute bullshit, in my opinion. I'll go back a little further. Now listen.
Questions because it doesn't make sense to me.
But I guess, I mean, like, you could have done it before you guys left
I don't.
and not had him, you know, alive in the backseat. They could have been with Shanann
I
in the
didn't
backseat.
think about anything really, like as far as like how everything was gonna happen. I don't know like why it happened. Like, why I left everything out there in the field and why like all this stuff. Like just, None of this makes sense at all.
But to Tammy's point, did you think that they might be coming back, or did you know they wouldn't be coming back?
No, it's
So he just said, I don't know why I left everything out there in the field. I don't know it. Nothing makes sense. And then Coda asks, did you think they wouldn't be coming back or they would come back? It's such a weird thing for him to say because you can read so many things into this.
man, the whole trip out there. I mean, it was like I wasn't thinking. It was like,
And he totally avoids Coda's question. The whole trip out there. I got to re-listen to that again. I'm sorry, you guys. I want everyone to hear that. And also how he avoids answering Coda's question.
think about anything really, like as far as like how everything was gonna happen. I don't know like why it happened. Like, why I left everything out there in the field and why like all this stuff. Like none of this makes sense at all.
But to Tammy's point, did you think that they might be coming back, or did you know they wouldn't be coming back?
No, it's man, the whole trip out there. I mean, it was like I wasn't thinking. It was like in my mind right now, I'm thinking back. I'm hoping that I wasn't coherent enough to make that decision to where I knew I was going to kill my girls. I'm just hoping that no father would ever want to do anything to hurt his blood and flesh, but I did that.
He still didn't answer Coda's question. And I don't understand why Coda doesn't say, hey, you didn't answer my question. Did you think they were coming back? Or didn't you think they're coming back? Right? So weird.
And I just don't understand how it happened. So, I mean, I even read books that say, no dad would ever do anything to hurt his children. This happened. So I always think to myself, like, was I even a dad at one point? I don't know. But it's just gonna take a long, long time to guilt and everything to get just to.
Have you asked for forgiveness from God?
It just takes a long time for me to forget myself. That's one thing that's gonna take a long. So that they can one day forgive me too. Stay with
And
me.
I think you said earlier that you were so angry at Shanann or whatever that you were gonna, anyone in your path of destruction or whatever was gonna get it. Basically, kind of is what kind of made it sound like. I'm not saying that exactly right, but why were you so angry at Shanann?
I don't know if it was just because of separating me and my family, pretty much. Because I mean, it happened at the wedding. Like that's the reason they didn't come to the wedding. I mean, I blew up.
See how far his anger at Shanann goes back to 2012. Tammy Lee asks him, why were you so angry at Shanann? Well, the wedding. He doesn't say, oh, it started with Nutgate and she totally freaked out on my mom. No, he starts at the wedding. So this is a clue on how long he held that anger inside, right? He starts at the wedding.
Look at my family to a point where I said some horrible things to them back in 2012 that
Long haul, yes, true.
pretty much told my family that I don't need them anymore. I said I cussed my mom out. I did all this kind of stuff. I never thought, you know,
And now you guys listen carefully, because he says a very, very important thing concerning the kids.
I don't know if it was just like Shanann coaching me on to do it, or if it was just like rage that was like I'd never seen before. And then I don't know if it was just everything that happened in July, but I can't see my kids. And I'm not sure if they're ever going to go see them again. I don't know. And
Did you catch that? Back in July, I didn't see my kids and I wasn't sure if I ever gonna see them again. Did you catch that? So what was going on in the month before that? In their marriage or in their relationship? Taking 10 grand out? You know, was that really some sort of Shanann trying to get away from him and being with somebody else? Why else would he say, I didn't know if I ever gonna see them again? Re-listen.
I don't know if it was just because of separating me and my family, pretty much. Because I mean, it happened at the wedding. Like that's the reason they didn't come to the wedding. I mean, I blew up at my family to a point where I said some horrible things to them back in 2012 that I pretty much told my family that I don't need them anymore. I said I cussed my mom out. I did all this kind of stuff. I never thought and I don't know if it was just like Shanann coaching me on to do it, or if it was just like rage that was like I'd never seen before. And then I don't know if it was just everything that happened in July, but I can't see my kids. And I'm not sure if they're ever going to go see them again. I don't know.
I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna see them again. So doesn't that make you think, what happened? And also, why would she leave for 6 weeks? And that bullshit, well, she was pregnant and she couldn't fly after that? Bullshit. There was some reason we don't know about that she went to North Carolina for 6 weeks. Because why else would he say, I wasn't sure if I ever gonna see my kids again? With them being with Shanann in North Carolina. So what was going on? What is the background on this? Lady Sarah, I'm sure Shanann thought she would be with CM, but he let her down. Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Why not? Speaking of the lawyer, when she had that interview, asking him about Colorado divorce and custody stuff. I mean, there was something going on between them we don't know about. And with that being said, his anger, swallowing his anger since 2012, then, we don't know what went on. I mean, why would he be concerned if he ever is going to see his kids again?
And it was just like, I don't know if that had something to do with it, that something inside me just triggered it. And then just like all that pins up from the wedding and everything, just like, it's like a long fuse that finally just went to its end.
What happened in 2012?
There was my mom and Shanann, just like from when I proposed to her, it was at the beach, and from then on, it was just like she always went up to Shanann and was like, I didn't need a ring like that.
Rachel, yes, I heard about that message too, or in 2017. Rachel saying, I saw a text SW saying, I'm in love with someone else, but it's going to take drastic actions to be together. 2017, she was with Lavelle, and CM was too. There you go.
When I was your age, I didn't need all these fancy things when I was your age, and just kind of kept boiling over.
Yeah, Rebecca, I agree. If there's anything true to the story that she had a relationship or an affair or whatever with CM, um, yes, I would agree on that. That she decided in the last minute to stay with CW because CM decided not to stay with her.
Over and blowing over, and then we never agreed on anything. It was just like, we didn't really need their help to do anything. We just like, so we'll just pay for it ourselves and all that kind of stuff. And, it was just back and forth. And I think maybe my mom just never thought she was good enough. She always thought she was hiding something from me.
She always thought Shanann was hiding something? Like what?
I don't know, stuff from her past or like,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So there's conflict at a barbecue and all the families got together. And the first, maybe a barbecue that Shanann put together for everybody to get meeting
Yes, I totally agree. Mary Choke, totally agree.
each other. Two families, if you call that. Like when you first started dating.
Oh. I remember we did have something like that, but I didn't remember like a.
Well, he's now talking about his family and the trouble they had going on, and that his mom wasn't fond of Shanann in the first place. But we know all that, and we know that she had her reasons. I'm not judging anyone, so I'm just moving forward to. I just put in my notes, my dad told me that, and I can't even remember what that was, but I want to show you. So let's find out together.
When we were talking to you before about her getting upset about some video or something about being bipolar or
Well,
what are you talking about?
Oh, and he's talking about NK. So he's saying she was bipolar or something, and she was getting mad about a video.
I think either my dad told me about that or John Walsh told me about like she made a couple videos like when she was just like
So this is what I don't get right here. So they're talking about NK being bipolar, and she's making videos about herself or something, and she's getting upset. And then Chris says, "Yeah, my dad told me about that." I don't know. That's weird. Let's go a little bit back and re-listen to this. It doesn't make any sense to me what he just said.
stuff like I couldn't have like she had like tons of like phone contacts. I just couldn't have all that, but it's still kind of linked up at one point. But as far as like she asked me to get my own iCloud account, just to kind of free that up a little bit.
How about your Facebook account? You deleted that at some point. When did you do that? And why?
I think it was got back August 7th. I think it was probably August 8th. That's when I think he told me she told her friends about me. And I just figured, they probably looked me up on Facebook and see that she was pregnant. If Nikki already knew probably already, but the reason why I did that.
Did you and Nikki ever fight?
Never fought, but like I said, I had to like calm her down a bunch of times.
Yeah, you started to mention that when we were talking to you before about her getting upset about some video or something about being bipolar or
Well,
what are you talking about?
I think either my dad told me about that or John Walsh told me about like she made a couple videos like when she was just like talking to herself, saying that she was bipolar or something like that. But a lot of things was like when she realized that okay, like she's the other person in the relationship that I'd always put my wife first over her, and that's what kind of made her take a step back a few times, and then like I had to kind of like calm her down.
Tell me about those times. What'd that look like?
So the first one was probably around July 4th when I had to leave her house because she wanted to kind of spend most of the day together before she went to like a baseball game or something. And like when I had to leave, it kind of just made her like kind of take a step back and wonder what she was doing. And I just told her like, hey, just because of what's going just because I had to leave doesn't mean like you have to just take a step. I was like comforting her at some point. I don't even know why I was doing it. Maybe I knew I was too far gone at that point, but it was
Because this is Shannon's pissed. She's called you 10 times. You were sleeping because you
Yeah.
had your day off. And then you go outside to talk to her on the phone and then tell Nikki that you need to go home just in case she calls back and
Yeah.
all that, right?
Mhm.
So what did she say to you, Nikki?
She was in the shower. She said, okay. And then that's like,
Did we just miss it, you guys? Let's go back again. I think we just missed it. Oh, my little boy snoring.
How about your Facebook account? You deleted that at some point. When did you do that? And
I
why?
think it was, got back August 7th. Went to work. I think it was probably August 8th. That's when Nikki told me she told her friends about me. And I just figured, they probably looked me up on Facebook and see that she was pregnant. If Nikki already knew probably already, but that's the reason why I did that.
Did you and Nikki ever fight?
We never fought, but like I said, I had to calm her down a bunch of times.
Yeah, you started to mention that when we were talking to you before about her getting upset about some video or something about being bipolar or
Well,
what are you talking about?
I think either my dad told me about that or John Walsh told me about she made a couple videos.
So he says, my dad told me about that, or John Walsh told me about that. It is possible that they told Ronnie. It does make sense now. It is possible that the prosecution or the defense attorneys told Ronnie or the Watts family about NK, right? And they might have told them, she was upset about a video, or she knew that Shanann was pregnant. And this is what Chris is saying. I'm assuming he's referring to, oh, my dad told me about that video she was upset about, right? So it makes sense, kind of. The next thing I wanted to show you is about the bank accounts. We know that Chris did have actually access to his bank account because he's constantly checking my prepaid center, Chase Bank. He calls the bank, fake calling the bank to see if Shanann got any money out of the accounts when she was still missing, and so on and so on. And then he explains that Shanann did not want him to have any say in their financial stuff because of the Ford incident. And by saying that Ford incident, he said they sold the Ford before it was paid off. But now listen, 3:59, the timestamp.
Are you guys behind on your mortgage? Even when I talked to you?
Earlier in I think December 2017, and then January, February, March 2018. That's when we took the 401k out.
So January, February, March. That's when we took the 401k out, the 10 grand, right? That are missing.
Loan out to pay for that.
How was it that you were spending so much money? What were the things down?
Kids and just other bills that we had, and I knew the car was getting paid for by the bill. I never really asked to see I didn't even have access to the bank account in my phone.
Oh,
So I never really asked to see what it looked like how far. But I just know she called me and told me, hey, can you pay the mortgage today? I'm like, yeah, cool.
She told me it's for the mortgage. She told me it's for the mortgage payment, but she never paid the mortgage.
And that was just, from my little 4-wheeler incident where I sold it without actually paying it off yet.
So he sold his truck, the Ford he had, without paying it off.
And she thought no, you're never touching the accounts ever. So I'm like, okay, that's cool with me.
You wouldn't even think that of Chris, would you? Like that he's selling something he didn't pay off. That would be more like a Shanann doing. selling stuff that she didn't pay off, or having a lot of red numbers on her bank account. But that doesn't sound like Chris. Him selling his truck or car or Ford without paying it off first, and then she tells him, "Or you're never gonna have access to your bank account ever again." So the next thing he says is very, very interesting, and that is 3 or 4 minutes. You really have to listen carefully because it goes pretty quick. He's talking about the HOA, Homeowners Association fees, and where they actually sent the money to. And what is odd to me is that he says they changed her address and they paid double. And this is kind of weird. And right after that, he's saying something about Bella you guys must hear.
But I never saw the account or what was it. I just like when I worked at Lawnmower Ford, I got my check, I just brought it there.
Yeah. There was a hair care company, I think it's called Monat. Does that ring a bell? You know anything about that? Like maybe hair dye. I don't know. It's like do you know she did like an auto order through that company, had stuff delivered for her, any kind of hair care product or hair care dye?
Not something. I mean, she had like there was something like a little gift pack she had delivered once every month or once every 2 months. Had like a different array of different products in it.
Don't remember where it's from.
So you guys got the confirmation, everyone who doubted that Shanann was dead before 2 a.m. Here you got your proof that she didn't actually order her hair care products. Oh, was it a Ford Mustang? Oh, okay. Thank you, Lady Sarah. She didn't physically order hair care products. That was a subscription she had where she got like hair dye and stuff every month or every 2 months.
Like we said, Monet.
Monat, M-O-N-A-T.
Well,
There was an order that was made, like $251. That's why I asked if it was like an auto order type.
it might have been an auto order.
Yeah,
It might have been something that I know that Nicole Atkinson, she's into all that stuff. Maybe she didn't got her. Maybe she didn't got her something, or maybe it was something she recommended.
Okay. How about the HOA thing? What happened there?
She was mailing to the wrong address. They changed her address, and she mailed to the wrong address for a year. And then we got a letter in the mail where we getting like sued over it. We didn't pay our HOAs for a year, so we had to pay double for either a whole year or a couple months.
We paid double for a whole year or a couple of months, and they changed her address. So what property did they actually pay HOA fees on? When they paid double in CW's mind, and one of the properties, let's say there were 2 properties, they had maybe an apartment or something, right? And I didn't get the chance to do it now, but I'm gonna pull the background check on them. And I see what properties they had, what addresses they were registered to, and what post boxes they had. And then we can see where they paid double the HOA fees, because in CW's mind, they paid double, but only one of the properties were paid for the homeowner association fees. So what was the other property? Because they never paid for Saratoga Trail. And him saying they changed her address, what does that even mean? Was she getting an apartment already? Did she, or was she registered under a different address already? If that makes sense, does that make sense what I'm saying? He's saying Sorry if I repeat myself. I'm just having a like a brain fart kind of moment. So he's saying they changed her address, right? So was there a different apartment they rented or they bought or whatever? And was the 10 grand for a down payment maybe? January, February, March. This is when I took out the 401k. That was 10 grand. That's missing. No mortgage was paid off. Could it be possible that they had a different apartment? Where, you know, if they were actually in a separation process and she going to North Carolina for 6 weeks with the girls, him saying, I didn't know if I ever see my kids again. The talk or the information she got from that divorce lawyer she was talking in that restaurant too. The double paid HOA fees, them changing her address. Does it make sense to you guys? I mean, I'm just speculating here, but I'm just picking up on what he says. We got to re-listen to this.
I know that Nicole Atkinson, she's into all that stuff. Maybe Shanann got her. Maybe Shanann got her something, or maybe it's something she recommended.
Nicole Atkinson is into that stuff. Maybe she got her something or something recommended.
How about the HOA thing? What happened there?
She was mailing up the wrong address.
Oh,
They
no.
changed her address, and she mailed up the wrong address for a year.
She sent it to the wrong address. They changed her address.
And then we got a letter in the mail where he didn't like sued over it. We didn't pay our HOAs for a year, so we had to pay double for either a whole year or a couple months.
So we paid double for a year or a couple of months.
That sucked.
What happened to all the money that she sent to the wrong address?
Don't know.
Of course, it makes sense, the money sending to the wrong address. Because if she had a new address, which they changed, he just said, she sends the money there, not living there, and they getting sued. Because then I remembered Ronnie telling me that Chris said it's almost impossible for her not to pay the HOA fees because he was the one who put the check in. So what property didn't they pay for 6 months? CW is saying he was responsible for the HOA fees and he was the one putting the money on their account. So what the fuck? And is that the reason we don't see all the documents of them being sued and all that? They were there, but now some pages are missing. I don't know. I'm just trying to connect the dots here on what he says. Like, send it to the wrong address. Exactly, Alan. This is so weird. But I'm gonna promise, I promise you guys, I'll be on my next live stream, I'll be having all the background. I want to know what they paid double. Why did they have to pay double? And one of them was sent to the wrong address. Maybe she only said, I sent it to the wrong address because it was taken out of her bank account. Maybe she had a different bank account and they couldn't get any money out of it because she had no money left on it for several months. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, I promise you.
They said they wouldn't credit it or anything. I'm not even sure what the address was.
I'm not sure what the address was.
She said it was just something that she didn't see. I was like, well, I wasn't gonna harp her about it because she did so much. So I was like, I'm not gonna like.
And also, he says, "Oh, you never got any letters or something that reminded you, you sent the money to the wrong address, for 6 months, and all of a sudden he receives a letter saying, "Oh, we're gonna sue you." What if the letters went to the actual second address, right?
Don't need that. Unless you felt bad enough.
So Chris, what do you think we could have done better?
Now, this is very important. What he says next. So Tammy Lee asks him, what could we have done better? And he says something weird about Bella. I don't know what to think about this. Just listen, you guys.
What could have made you tell us the truth that night? What did you need to hear from us that you didn't?
Really, I'm not sure what really goes to people's minds when they're in an interrogation room. When I was in there with you and Graham, I was just nervous. I knew I had done something wrong, and I knew you probably already knew or were going to find out. And it's just like, I watched enough, like TV shows to kind of see like, okay, what's going to happen next type thing. I never knew if that's right, but I think it's just the horror of like knowing what you did and trying to tell somebody else what you did. That's what kept me from doing it, because I didn't even want to admit to myself that I had done anything. I knew what I had done. I knew how bad and horrific it was. I knew how bad I was going to hurt other people. I just couldn't even admit to myself that I had done it. I couldn't even tell my attorneys I did it until like 2 weeks later.
So were you trying to save us from the horror of it, or
it was just a matter of I couldn't admit to myself. How could I admit it to you?
So do you think any amount of us asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the kids, you would ask the other
Did you catch that? Maybe if you would have asked Bella if Shanann hurt the kids, and then asked the other one. Want to re-listen to this real quick? Don't want to go back so far.
But I had done anything. I knew what I had done. I knew how bad and horrific it was. I knew how bad I was going to hurt other people. I just couldn't even admit to myself that I had done it. I couldn't even tell my attorneys I did it until like 2 weeks later.
So were you trying to save us from the horror of it, or
it was just a matter of I couldn't admit to myself. How could I admit it to you?
So do you think any amount of us asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the kids, you would ask the other if something in that a different order of question, maybe it would have came out a different way.
Isn't that incredible? If you had asked Bella, what is he even talking about? If you would have asked Bella and then the other one, it's clear during the interview, and if you listen to it in its entirety, the way he speaks about Bella is different than he speaks about Cece. And it's just my personal feeling, or how do I put it, that Bella was his absolute favorite, right? You can hear that when he talks about Bella, and then ask the other one. I'm sorry, you guys, but I need to listen to this one more time. Just to make sure.
that I had done anything. I knew what I had done. I knew how bad, horrific it was. I knew how bad I was going to hurt other people. I just couldn't even admit to myself that I had done it. I couldn't even tell my attorneys I did it until like 2 weeks later.
So were you trying to save us from the horror of
No,
it, or
it was
what do
just
you
a
think?
matter of I couldn't admit to myself. How could I admit it to you?
So do you think any amount of us asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the kids, you would ask the other if something in that a different order of question. Maybe it would have came out a different way.
If you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the kids, is he saying that? But I clearly hear Bella. And then ask the other one.
Asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the
That is Bella. He's not saying if you had asked Shanann I can't even speak, that Shanann hurt the kids. He clearly says Bella. I'm sorry, I cannot Craftastic. I did only upload that onto my private YouTube. But I'm sure if we can go to Dawn's. I don't know if Dawn has subtitles on. I don't want to really listen to any other one because the audio is really bad. So let's just listen to it again. This makes no sense why he would say that. I'm sorry, you guys, that I might bore you, but I need to be sure.
I couldn't even tell my attorneys I did it until like 2 weeks later.
So were you trying to save us from the horror of it, or
it was
what do
just
you
a
think?
matter of I couldn't admit to myself. How could I admit it to you?
So do you think any amount of us asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the kids, you would
If you didn't ask Bella if Shanann hurt the kids, and then ask the other one.
ask the other if something in that a different order of question. Maybe
And then ask the other, and maybe with a different word or whatever he says.
it would have came out a different way.
It would have came out a different way.
Because that's the only reason I remember that story is because that was.
Well, you weren't giving us anything
I know.
else.
I know.
And I don't understand why they're not picking up on this. Her stupid laughing. One more time, and then I leave you guys alone. This is crazy.
I couldn't even tell my attorneys I did it until like 2 weeks later.
So were you trying to save us from the horror of it, or
it was
what do
just
you
a
think?
matter of I couldn't admit to myself. How could I admit it to you?
So do you think any amount of us asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask about if Shanann hurt the kids, you would
I think maybe if you didn't ask Bella if Shanann hurt the kids, or if you did ask Bella if Shanann hurt the kids.
ask the other if something in that a different order of question. Maybe
And then ask the other.
it would have came out a different way. Because that's the only reason I remember that story is because that was.
Well, you weren't giving us anything
I know,
else.
I know.
That was the problem.
I know.
But so if we would have said, what do you think?
I don't know, you guys. I clearly hear Bella. I mean, it can be someone said maybe his nervous tongue. Yeah, no need for subtitles. Let's listen on lower speed. Lower speed. All right. Gonna do that on lower speed one more time, and then I'm sick of it. Lower speed. All right.
But I had done anything. I knew what I had done. I knew how bad, horrific it was. I knew how bad I was gonna hurt other.
Exactly, Sugar Beet. His answer is way off from what Tammy is actually asking. And this is throughout. Throughout.
People. I just couldn't even admit to myself that I had done it. I couldn't even tell my friends I did it until like 2 weeks later.
So were you trying to save us from the horror of
No,
it, or
it was
what do you
just a
think?
matter of I couldn't admit to myself. How could I admit it to you?
So do you think any amount of us asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask Bella if Shanann heard the
That was definitely Bella. If you ask Bella if Shanann heard the girls. Did you hear it? Thank you, Janset, for giving us the tip to slow down, because you definitely hear Bella in this. Definitely.
kids. You would ask the other if something in that a different order of question. Maybe it would have came out.
Asking you things different ways would have helped, or do you think anything would have helped?
I think if maybe you didn't ask Bella if Shanann heard the kids.
If you didn't ask Bella if Shanann heard the kids, and then the other one, and then just word it differently, it would have come out different. Very, 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 very weird. But you guys, this is throughout that he's avoiding things, he's avoiding questions, he's talking about completely different topics, right? When he is actually asked some stupid stuff. All right, this is how far I got to 4 hours and 3 seconds. I keep on listening to these interviews, and then I'm gonna obviously present it to you guys on my next live stream. My son is a little bit, up and sleeping and up and sleeping, so I'm gonna be taking care of him now. Anyways, that light. But isn't it weird? Like, I clearly heard him saying Bella. Next week we're gonna continue. We're not gonna continue tomorrow. Next week for sure. I cannot tell you if I'll be doing it Saturday or Sunday. Normally I'm going live Sundays, but depending on the workload I have over the week. But we're definitely gonna continue, because we're gonna find out more, and we are gonna get to the bottom of this. I'm doing a background check, as I promised you guys, and we'll go from there. I hope you enjoyed that and what I brought to you today. Many things we need to think, rethink, or keep an open mind is all I'm saying. Keep an open mind in this case. Another thing, I have the first 23 seconds of my documentary ready. You guys are gonna be, I was blown off by when I received the first 23 seconds. So I might be uploading it, I might not be, but yeah, just gonna be a surprise for you guys. All right, with that being said, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'm back, definitely back, still loaded with work, but I'm trying to go live as much as I can. Thank you for you guys' support and love and all the nice messages asking me where I am and that you guys are worried. Special thanks to my moderators for staying up all night for me. And I'm going to see you very, very soon. And until then, stay safe, stay true to yourself, and stay out of drama. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.